welcome to our 10th annual Christmas party for the retirees. My name is Tulio Liponte. I'm the financial secretary of the local, and I've been honored to say a few words, introduce some of our guest speakers. We're going to have a couple guest speakers, and we'll get the dinner going. So please join with me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, first of all, before I introduce the speakers, I want to introduce our guest, our executive board. I think it's important that we recognize the executive board of our local. We're not able to do what we're doing on an everyday basis without having the support of the executive board. Obviously, Bruce Dickey, myself, Mike Kish, and Darlene Krause as the top officers. We make the decision, but the executive board is the one that out there supporting and making sure that the entire membership knows that we're out there advocating on behalf of the entire membership. And I know that Bruce will talk a little bit more about our bargaining units and the amount of membership that we have out there, so I'll leave that to Bruce. But first of all, I'm going to introduce the executive board. We have Darlene Krause. She's our vice president of the local. Mike Kish, vice president of the local. Kenny DeRoche, he's our trustee. Shelley Smith, trustee. Terry Vita, our trustee. Tim Brown, member at large. Isabel Taylor, member at large. We have Kate Mall, member at large. Joe Stulier, member at large, and he's also in charge of I don't know if it's the recreational committee or is that entertainment committee? I don't know what he does, but Todd Olette, Todd is our member at large. We've got Ron Riverty, he's our sergeant of arms. Darlene Marcuse, member at large, and Beth Cochran, she's a member at large. And we also have Harold Shaw. Harold Shaw is the retirement chair, and he represents you guys on our board. And last but not least, Bruce Dickey, the president of our local. Oh, I almost forgot it again. I gotta, I'm getting up there in age too, so I gotta write everything down. But every year I forget the most important person in our logo, and that's Nancy Risdale. Nancy Risdale, she's the one that you guys, when you get on the phone and you want to talk to them, she answers the phone and she keeps Bruce and I and the rest of the group on the straight and narrow path. So Nancy Risdale, she's not a secretary, she is our support staff. Okay, so we'll do grace just before we do dinner, but it's an honor for me to introduce our first speaker. Our first speaker's name is Mike Akpata, and Mike is a senior constable with the Windsor Police Services. And I don't have Mike's bio, but Mike will also talk about what his other roles are in the community and the purpose of him being here today in regards to the Veterans Memorial Project. So Mike Akpata. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the time that the membership has given to me to address you. My name is Mike Akpata, and as said, I am a senior constable with the Windsor Police Service. I work in fraud and arson. I wish I could stay for lunch, but I'm going to change into my dirty clothes and get into the arson truck and go and dig out a house. Why I'm here is I've been really blessed and very, very lucky to be associated with some of the greatest groups of people that exist, and that's our veterans. For 26 years, I've been a member of the Essex and Kent Scottish Regiment. I've just retired, so it's my first retirement party I had with 26 3/4 years after serving with the E&K. During that time, I went to Afghanistan in 2007, was attached to 2nd Battalion Royal Canadian Regiment. So some of the things that I'm here about is in your package, you've got a DVD that was put together to explain something. Some of the most wonderful people that I've had the pleasure of working with are members of the Windsor Historical Society because they believe a few things. They believe in the grace that we've been given by living in this country. They believe in capturing the soul of this nation. They believe that the stories of veterans, senior and junior, are important for the country to progress. So when I was asked to do this project, you gotta imagine, as a junior veteran, 2007 I was in Afghanistan, I was lucky enough to sit with gentlemen who fought in Sicily, gentlemen who piloted Lancasters over Germany, gentlemen who were on ships during the Gulf crisis, gentlemen who were on ships during the Cuban Missile Crisis, people who were stationed in Germany when the Soviets were supposed to come rolling through passes. And I got to hear their stories of Canadian self-sacrifice. I got to understand how this country is built, and I got to see the Canadian self-sacrifice spreads through the hundreds of thousands of men and women who serve this country. What does the Windsor Historical Society want? They want to capture the stories so that they exist in time immemorial, so no one can say this didn't happen. No one can say it was a movie. No one can say 14 and 15-year-olds did not sail in corvettes and fight the U-boat menace in the North Atlantic. So no one can say that what we have today is not based on what we have been given. So that no one can say that people are forgotten. So that we who are left will appreciate what they have given us. That we stand on the shoulders of giants, of 14 and 15-year-old boys who put on a uniform in 1939 and went places not to capture territory, not to expand Canadian borders, but to try to give people yearning for freedom a taste of what we have on a daily basis. Since the DVD has been made, it's been distributed to members of parliament, it's been distributed to municipal governments, it's been distributed to schools. It's being widely distributed as the best that we can. In your package, 170 more copies are in your hands. I ask you to do this. I ask you to watch it. I ask you to share it. I ask you to pass it along. I ask you to watch the stories of my senior peer veterans, and the junior ones too. I ask you to share that DVD with someone so they understand this, that we live in the greatest country in the world. That sacrifice has a face. The choices that we make are not as difficult as some choices that others have made. And that the flag is simply a piece of cloth until you watch the DVD and see the faces of our senior veterans talk about their sacrifice, talk about their happy moments, talk about their moments of loss. And then you look at the flag and understand what Canada represents. It represents the best. It represents freedom. It represents giving. But it also represents everything that our children have now, that they don't understand those times. My young children were there when some of these veterans gave their stories, and my son took me in the arm. He said, "Dad, that gentleman looks a little too old to have fought in Afghanistan." I said, "Son, you know the black and white TV that we watch sometimes? The black and white shows? That gentleman was in the black and white times," my son calls it. That gentleman went to Monte Cassino. When the Lancaster was taken off from the park, I got to put my son in the pilot's seat, and he held the wheel. So I showed him the picture of the Lancaster, and we watched the video of the Lancaster pilots talking about piloting these planes. My children live veteran. My children understand veteran. My children understand self-sacrifice. We need to ensure that all of our people understand the luxury and privilege we have of being Canadian, and that we owe some things to other people. Here's what I owe to other people. On my tour 22 young Canadians were killed. This is what I owe to them. I owe to be the best spokesman for them. I owe to be the best policeman I can possibly be. I've recently been elected to LaSalle Town Council. I owe to be the best counselor I can be, because those 22 young men can't. Those 22 young men will never achieve the greatness that was their opportunity. Those 22 young men on my tour will always be carried with me, because I owe them all of the success that they would have received if I had stepped left as opposed to stepping right. I understand. The DVD and the work of the Windsor Historical Society and the Veterans Memorial Project, the goal is to make everyone understand, to make everyone look at veterans, young and old, and to look at what we have and realize freedom is not free. History is important, and that in our own community, the little old man with a cane or the lady squeezing tomatoes has a story, and it's our story, and it needs to be told, because if we don't, their service is forgotten, and we can't have that happen. I owe it to every veteran, to everyone who served in Afghanistan, to every colleague of mine that's wounded, to every colleague of mine that carries an emotional problem with them because of their service, to say this to you. This DVD encapsulates the best of the greatest generation, the generation that followed the greatest, and mine. All Canadians, all volunteers, all wearing uniform for one purpose: to bring freedom and peace and justice to oppressed. The Windsor Historical Society has knocked the ball out of the park, and I'm privileged to participate in this DVD. I hope you watch it. I hope you share it. I hope you walk it down the street. I hope you give it to grandchildren. I hope you go onto the website and order more. I hope that you help us move it along. I hope that you spread it throughout your membership. I hope that we run out of DVDs and can't press them quick enough, because people are consuming it. Please take the time. Remember, give thanks, and when you walk outside, listen to the sound of freedom. The silence that we have, the quietness in our neighborhoods, and remember, someone paid a price for what we have today. Their stories are on that DVD, and they need to be told. My name is Akpata. Thank you.
I think I can say that on behalf of all Unifor members, thank you for your service, thank you for what you do, and we deeply appreciate your commitment to the veterans of Canada. Thank you very much. Okay. And I forgot to mention one more guest that's with Mike here, and her name is Diane. I hope I say it right, and I'm Italian. I think it's almost Italian. Bartolin. Bartolin. That's the way I speak, so I hope you understand. And we just another guest of ours has just arrived too. I'd like to introduce our former national president, Ken Luenza.